What is going on, everybody? It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the damn truth. And it's been a minute, of course, but we're in the home stretch here. Friday, I'm out this mug. So, Friday, I'm on my way back to Hawaii for 30 days, and then it's off to Texas. And I'll be honest, man, I'm not even in the loop of what's going on. I don't feel like there's been any real important news to cover. I've been keeping a little bit of tabs here and there, but I've been busy training and doing other stuff, right? So I don't know everything that's quite going on in FSU circles. So feel free in the comments to fill me in, man, or just ask your questions. As always, man, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share. This is actually kind of a pointless video, but I just feel like, why not do a video and reach out to the people? You know, like I do. I don't like to go too long without touching base. But yeah, man, what's going on? I mean, I feel like it's quiet. I feel like it's quiet on the FSU front. I feel like we gearing up, right? We gearing up for spring. There's a lot of questions for spring that I'm interested in having, and that's kind of the point of this video. One is to touch base and just my spring expectations. You know, what I think, what position battles are going to intrigue me, what I think this overall depth chart is going to look like, because truthfully, I think when we just talk about the recent recruiting class, Florida State was able to pull something off that was a little bit unique in my opinion. Is majority of the prospects that I believe are going to contribute as freshmen early enrolled. Really, the only prospects that didn't early enroll was a majority of the offensive line. I think I think we signed 5 officially. I know Woody's out there would make 6 total. And only 2 of those were early enrolled, and that's Charlton and Richardson. Don't expect either one to contribute off the bat. I don't expect any of the O-linemen to contribute off the bat. But they were able to get, we know McCall, Thomas, Hill, the other Bishop Thomas. They were able to get majority of the guys that to fill skill positions. They got them to early enroll, obviously Duffy and these guys. So that means, there's a chance that this team could rely on some freshmen. And I think when you look at last year's team, I don't know if you heard that or not, but that's a little intercom. So ignore that if it comes back on. They actually fixed it because it should be way louder than that. But I'll be jumping all over the place. I don't know how long this video will go. We might do 5. Well, we're already at 4. Who knows? Could be 10, 15-minute video, but y'all might appreciate it more than doing a, hour, 30-minute live stream. But anyway, last year's recruiting class and this year's recent recruiting class, I think most people would say that this year's is more talented, right? With that being said, last year we still were able to get 3 true freshmen to contribute a lot. They played a lot of snaps. I'm talking Omarion Cooper, who ended up maybe being the best of the bunch. Malik McLean, who didn't have the greatest production, but played a lot of snaps. Gained some valuable experience, in my opinion. I would look for his production to increase times 5, at least. And Kevin Knowles. Okay, those 3 freshmen were on the field a lot. I think when you look at it this year, I believe a similar number should be in play. I think you got a little bit more talented guys. Now, I don't believe it'll be on the O-line. I think FSU's got enough depth on the O-line that you don't need to force a freshman out there. as I always say, unless he just emerges and is, that dude, which I don't believe any of them will be. So my freshman nominees for early impact are going to be Azaria or Azariah. I always say Azariah. I'm not sure how the hell it's pronounced. I always mess it up. But Thomas, I think he can potentially be one of the starting corners. It's a little tough, man, because you didn't sign a receiver. If a receiver, you would say one of the receivers. But I think Thomas is going to be in the mix for early contribution. Then it gets a little tough. I think it wouldn't shock me. I might be going on a little bit of a limb here, but it wouldn't shock me if a Bishop Thomas was able to sneak in the rotation there. Wouldn't shock me. And then I'll pick one more if I have to. I mean, last year was 2 DBs. It could be 2 DBs again. It could be Sam. But it maybe not in the DB role, maybe in the special teams role. Maybe Sam McCall can make his presence felt year one. Obviously, we're going into this year with, I think, even a bigger emphasis on the transfers than last year. Because when you take 4 wide receivers in the portal, you're expecting some production out of that room. And you took, let's just talk about, quick position by position spring preview is kind of needed. And I can go, when I get back, man, we'll go and do a whole live stream on it. But for now, Travis is your quarterback. We're not even going to go over the quarterback because that could do a whole hour on its own. Running back, everybody knows Trayshawn Ward is kind of the alpha going into the spring. But who emerges as, second in the pack? Is it Toafili, who would be my nominee? Is it DJ, who I think, if you're looking for that big punisher or that bruiser type of back, he would be my second nominee? Is it the Trey Benson kid out of Oregon, who, I wasn't too high on, but we'll wait and see what he gives us? Is a Rodney Hill able to crack the rotation, or is a Corey Wren finally going to show up on the field and make an impact? There's some questions at running back, but I think we're all pretty confident, at least I am, that Trayshawn Ward can lead the pack. It's who's going to get those second and third carries would be my question. Wide receiver, man. Wide receiver. Let's break wide receiver down like this. I believe going into spring, your wide receiver 1 will be Winston Wright. And on the 2 deep with him will be Ontario Wilson backing him up. Go to the opposite receiver, I believe it'll be Malik McClain and Johnny Wilson backing him up. And then in that slot, I think it goes about 3 deep in the slot. I think they're going to be, what's his name? Micah Parson, Keyshawn Helton, and Ja'Kai Douglas will all compete for that. I think Parson gets the nod, and I think Douglas and Helton will rotate. And I think it'll be more of a 3-man rotation in that slot. I don't think Deuce Spann cracks the rotation early. He may. I think he still has a lot to learn. He's still very raw. You're talking about a guy who has only 5 catches and was a quarterback at one point. There's no need to rush him. He's got time, and he's got time to learn. Joshua Burrell is another one where I think coming off an injury, he could use that time. And then, of course, you got Jordan Young, Portier, and Williamson. All of those guys can take a back seat and continue to develop if there is development and be used if in injury situations. But I like the receiving core, how it looks on paper. We'll see how that translates on the field. Quick rundown on that O-line, man. O-line's a little bit interesting for me. I think obviously, I think 3 of the 5 spots are solidified. I think Lyles at center, Gibbons at one guard, Scott's your left tackle. Who's the other guard? Not too sure. Who's the right tackle? I think as of right now, you'd have to go Darius Washington as the other tackle. But I don't think Bless Harris came in to just sit. So if that means either Harris is the guard and Washington is the other tackle, or vice versa. They said they interviewed Bless Harris and he said he's been working at tackle. So I think it's probably going into the spring, Bless Harris, Darius Washington, Caden Lyles, Dylan Gibbons, and Robert Scott. My dark horses have always kind of been the same there. Do not sleep on Lloyd. If there's a time for Lloyd to finally kind of crack the rotation and short, I thought he showed flashes last year. So for me, Lloyd, don't sleep on Lloyd. Wouldn't shock me if he was able to be your starting right tackle. Don't sleep on Lloyd. Don't sleep on a Brian Estes. Don't sleep on Thomas Schrader or Zane Herring. These guys are going to be bringing quality depth. Rod Orr in year 2, quality depth. And that's not even counting the numerous freshmen we about to bring in. That O-line has been restacked and revamped. It may take a year for some of those freshmen to get on board, but even the guys that they currently have on the roster have been developing for 2 to 3 years. And this should be the year where we should start seeing some payoff on that offensive line. Moving to the defense, I'm going to start in the middle because we're solidified there with Fabian Lovett and Robert Cooper. And even that even that 2 deep, you go with Jarrett Jackson and Malcolm Ray. I think Joshua Farmer now comes into his own. And I think Bishop Thomas has a chance to make some moves. As a true freshman, I think he can get in there and get a few quality snaps for sure. And that doesn't even count the fact that Dennis Briggs is probably a guy you can rotate in there if necessary. But I think Dennis Briggs starts at one of your defensive ends going into the spring. And I think McClendon or Fuller, I think McClendon's going to get the nod opposite of Briggs. I think your defensive end is going to look like this. I think it's going to be Briggs and Jared Verse. I think Verse makes the 2 deep, and I think he backs up Dennis Briggs. And on the other side, I think it's Fuller and McClendon. I think McClendon gets the nod, and Fuller's going to back him up. I think that's your kind of 2 deep rotation at both ends, and I think a guy like Patrick Payton's gonna be ready to push some guys and make some noise. He's my dark horse in that defensive end room. Linebackers. A linebacker is so interesting to me. Obviously, Kalen DeLoach came on at the end of last year, showed that he was a full-time starter at the position. We're excited to see how he continues to progress. One would assume that Bethune is either your Mike or your Will. I don't know if they're gonna switch it up. I don't know. But one assumes Bethune's gonna play next to DeLoach. And then you got Gaynor, who is somewhere out there playing whatever position they call it. Is it stud or whatever they call it? I don't know. They still don't really know how to use Gaynor, in my opinion. Maybe Shannon, as the co-defensive coordinator, can fix that or figure something out there. But either way, I think what intrigues me about my backers is, even if Bethune isn't all world, it gives you a chance that you're not forced to have Lundy out there in critical situations where he can be exposed, right? Obvious passing downs at the times last year, Lundy's on the field and you knew he would be targeted because he's the obvious weak link. And now I think you have enough depth that you can put Lundy in positions to be successful, and now he looks like a quality linebacker. Okay, my knock on Lundy was that he's just not a starting every down backer. But if you can rotate him in critical situations, Lundy can now become an effective football player. Do you get anything out of Jadarius Green McKnight this year, as he made the move from linebacker last year but didn't play? Obviously, Steven Dix going on year 3. What do we get out of that? Does he bounce back from a terrible sophomore campaign? Is Brandon Gant making the move to backer, or is he staying in that secondary? those are all linebacker questions. Linebacker's probably still the biggest question on the defense. I'm fairly comfortable in my D-line. I got a lot of question marks at backer, and I think your secondary probably is your strongest position group. Maybe not only on defense, but maybe on the entire team, because Amarion Cooper, by the end of the year, kind of showed he was locked down. I mean, he was the best true corner on this team last year. I don't know if anybody can really debate that. Opposite of him is still Brownlee. Y'all know my feelings on Brownlee. Me personally, I would move Brownlee to nickel, either have him start there or back up Kevin Knowles, but I would have those guys be in competition for the nickel spot. At that opposite corner, Thomas has the length that I like, that I think matches very well with Amarion Cooper, who, they played opposite of each other. But there's other guys. I mean, look, I know y'all don't want to hear it, but is it possible Jarrian Jones finally gets his act together? Is Travis Jay a corner or a safety? I think the only way Travis Jay can crack any rotation is if it's at corner, because as you're about to see, if we go into safety, I don't think there's any room for Travis Jay at safety. You still got Hunter Washington, who was actually the highest rated player they signed last year, who didn't play at all. He has a chance. Could we see him opposite of Amarion Cooper? And then, of course, you got the man, the myth, the legend, Damori Tate, top 50 player when he came out of high school. Can he finally find that back? Can he that top 50 status? Can we finally see flashes of that? He's gonna have an opportunity this spring. I would not be mad if he started, but can he play? Can he stay healthy enough to play? So, a lot of questions there in that secondary. But outside of one corner position, I think nickel is locked up. Even if you don't move Brownlee inside, which I think they should, but even if they don't, you still got Greedy Vance. Kevin Knowles. Opposite is Amarion Cooper. Who backs up Cooper, I think, is a great question. Don't know. But I think it's a great question. I think you got to find a backup there. And then I think your safeties are locked. You got the best safety in the ACC who decided to come back. His first team all ACC, Jamie Robinson. He's coming back. Next to him was his partner in crime who had his best season. He found some cohesion playing next to Jamie. Looked good playing next to Jamie. That's Akeem 10. I think those two guys are kind of penciled in at safety. And behind them are some really good quality players. And Sidney Williams, who honestly could compete to start in a Akeem Dent spot. And then I don't think McKellen is a starter, but I think he's a valuable backup with valuable experience. And he was very serviceable when his number was called to play safety last year. So your two deep in safety is solidified, and that's not even counting Sam McCall, who can mix in there, even though I recall him in the interview saying they've working him at corner. I still think he's a safety, but whatever. Shaheem Brown is in the mix at safety. Ronaldo Green is a guy who where is he at? Is he a safety? Is he a corner? Well, he's a scholarship DB. Are we going to see anything out of him? Brandon Gant, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? He's in that mix. And then I talked about Travis Jay earlier. I think his best bet is at corner, but some people really believe Travis Jay is a safety. Well, that's fine. I just don't know where he cracks the rotation. Safety's pretty loaded. They're going to have to figure something out there because some of those guys are not going to get some playing time. And that's where after spring you can see some attrition. But that's my quick rundown and my quick little spring preview, so to say. That's really all I had to give my thoughts on. Again, I haven't been in the loop, so whatever news, and haven't really paid attention to anything. A lot of people are just making up stuff. You need content, so we just make up topics, and I understand it. I ain't mad at it. But a lot of speculation about Atkins, Georgia's O-line coach, I believe, just stepped down. So, of course, here comes the Atkins thing. I know Woodson was speculating of being taken for the last few weeks. I don't think anything amounted to that. Again, I haven't paid attention to the speculation. It is what it is. If it happens, it happens. Then we'll talk about it. But appreciate y'all, man. This is about a 20-minute long video. So, just my quick thoughts of what I expect this roster to look like come springtime. And once that hits, we'll talk about what I think the roster may look like post-spring. But until next time, y'all, it's your boy Polk over here on 863 Seminole TV. As soon as I'm closing out, they get on the speaker. Anyway, it's your boy Polk over here on 863 Seminole TV. As always, stay classy, Seminoles. And go Noles. We out here, man. Catch y'all next time.